Hello, the internet. My name's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to have a little bit more of a, I don't know, serious time talking. As you might have seen from the title of this video, this is basically how to keep your plants alive when you are dealing with depression. So depression is something that I've had, I don't want to say my whole life, but for a large portion of my life. And for the most part, I don't have it very bad. Not that I want to say that there's any kind of a rating system when it comes to depression, but for the most part, I'm usually fairly in control of my, what I call crash days, the days when I really just find it hard to get anything done. But this year has just been particularly bad. 2020 was, and then we kind of went into the winter and the seasonal depression of less sunlight and all of that kind of thing. Like, it just seems to have hit me very, very hard this year. And I realized in the midst of not wanting to make videos, this is very possibly something that others of you are dealing with as well. And it's one of those things that I feel like doesn't really get talked about enough. There is definitely a stigma in society at large, where we either don't talk about depression or other mental illnesses, or if we do, we're like, just go out and exercise, eat right, you're just not trying hard enough and all that kind of stuff. And that, some of the worst stuff that you can say to somebody who's depressed. But that's just kind of how it is in society. And I dealt with a number of years when I was younger, when I first realized that I had depression, or I guess when I was first diagnosed with depression, where I would stop taking my medication because I was convinced that I didn't need it. Because I was fine enough of the time that I was like, why am I taking medication for this thing? And then of course that would lead to longer crashes, harder crashes, and yeah. And anyway, I eventually got to the point where I realized that was stupid. that was society trying to tell me what I needed. That was like telling a diabetic that they didn't need insulin, or somebody with a broken leg that they didn't need a cast, and that they should just, eat right and tough it out. But that doesn't keep it from being there, right? Because the very, just everything that depression is, has you convince yourself that any of the positive crap that people come up with, it's just a lie, or it's not true, or something like that, and you get in those places where you really just don't want to do anything. And that has been how I've been for much of this winter. I kind of gotten to a place where I basically was only taking care of my plants because I was making videos for you guys. And that in and of itself is a great motivator, because I was convincing myself that it was for you, I could make myself do it even though I didn't particularly want to. Um, and then, like I said, I had to come to grips with the fact that I was pushing myself, maybe when I didn't necessarily need to, and at the same time that there are probably other people who deal with this as well. Because, it's not just the plant community, there's people everywhere that deal with depression and might not necessarily realize that they are depressed, or do realize that they're depressed and are trying to convince themselves that they're not depressed or that they can just tough it out. Or even if they do know that they're depressed, there's not a lot of, I don't know, support in that space, I guess, because, who wants to be the person to always have to go to your friend and be like, oh, I'm feeling horrible today, and then your friend is like, oh, no, it'll be okay, and like I said, that's really just not what you want to hear some of the time. Sometimes you just want to hear that, yes, that's rough. Yes, it is hard. And you want to hear that it's hard, but it's gonna pass, from somebody who's actually been there. And so this video is basically going to be me going through all of that, which I wasn't planning on saying, but now I've said it, and so I'll probably end up leaving it in this video. But I wanted to give you guys a couple of things that I have found that to help me keep my plants alive, even though I'm really not feeling motivated very much at all. I guess my one, well, I've got two motivations. One of my motivations is you guys, because I really enjoy this YouTube channel, and I know that I enjoy this YouTube channel, even though right now making videos for it is kind of hard. But I want to be able to give you guys content. I want to be able to still interact with you guys, and so that's one of the things that keeps me coming down here and taking care of my plants. The other thing is that I have some really nice plants that I really love, and if they died, like, that would just be terrible. I would be very, very sad. And so one of the first things that I've been doing for one of the things that I've been doing to motivate myself to come down here and actually take care of my plants is, first off, telling myself that it's okay that I don't want to, right? Because, you get in that space and you're just like, you don't want to do it. Everything is too much of a hassle. It's just, why do I have so many plants? Why? Why do I have so many plants, right? And so one of the things that I do is I just accept that it's okay that right now I'm not really liking my plants. Like, I mean, I still like my plants, but I don't like my plants. You probably understand. If you're feeling like this, you definitely understand. And so just accepting that that's okay is kind of like, is a good place to start, right? It's okay that you don't want to have to take care of your plants. It's okay that you think that this is a hassle. It's okay to wonder why you got into this hobby in the first place. And the second thing that I've been doing is, well, the bare minimum, basically. I tell myself, okay, I can go downstairs for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and look at my plants, and any of them that are actually wilting and looking like they really, really need water, then I need to water those. And it doesn't matter if there's dead leaves. It doesn't matter if there's pests, unless you've got like a really big infestation. It doesn't matter if there's pests. If there's a couple mealybugs, if there's a couple spider mites, okay. It doesn't matter that I really wanted to repot this plant. It doesn't matter that that it's in a terrible soil that's not holding on to water. It doesn't matter, like whatever it is that you look and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I have to do this and this and this and this. Um, just it doesn't matter. Right now, my focus for right now is keep the plants alive, and for the most part that is that's making sure that they have water. I haven't filled up either of my humidifiers in about, what is it? It's been at least a month, because they needed, every day I had to distill out the water or filter out the water and take those things over there and fill them up and put them back over here and blah blah. I couldn't bring myself to do that anymore, and some of my plants are suffering because they don't have the humidity that they want. It's, you know, it is what it is, right? But none of them are dying. Now, if the ones that I have that are really sensitive to humidity, I have in a grow tent. And that might not be an option for you. If you've got some plants that really, really need the high humidity, then one of your things that you might have to convince yourself of is, I've got to refill my humidifier every day. Even though it's a hassle, even though it's a whatever. And you know what? You can use unfiltered water. I know. You're just gonna know that that means that you're going to have to clean your filter, or you're going to have to clean your humidifier at some point. Obviously not anytime soon, but at some point you're going to have to clean it out, because part of the reason they want you to get all the filter, the water and all that kind of stuff is because the minerals will build up in there. You can clean it. It's a hassle, but if it means that you're keeping your plants alive, that's the main thing right there. See, you're taking away a step. You're making, the important thing that I find with depression is to try and make things as easy as they can be. Like as easy as steps as you can be. I had started using fertilizer in my water. I've seen great things, like, because I've been putting fertilizer in my water, and on those days I don't do the fertilizer. I just don't do the fertilizer. I've watered my calatheas with tap water instead of bothering to go and get the rainwater. You know, it's making things as easy as possible, because for calathea, tap water is not going to kill them. You might get some crispy leaves on them, but it's more than likely not going to kill the plant unless you have horrible water. And I haven't been updating my spreadsheet that I usually keep, that has all the when the last time I watered things was. I haven't been keeping up with that because that's also a hassle. It's also a freaking mess down here. I'm gonna take you guys for a tour. Look, right here, I'm hiding this with my camera angle. I've got all this stuff on the floor. Just everything is kind of everywhere. I've got empty bottles, I've got containers and all kinds of stuff. There's dirt all on the floor. And right now, oh, and obviously my my table. I've got boxes, I've got more trash over there. I mean, as you can see, the place is a mess. And I'm just living with that for right now, because that's what I have to do, because it's more important to me to keep the plants alive, right? So, for those of you who are struggling with taking care of your plants this winter, whether it's seasonal depression or depression that you deal with all the time, or if it's anxiety or any other kind of a mental illness, like I said, first thing you need to do is give yourself permission to feel that way. Because it's not bad or wrong, it just is, right? Like, depression just is, and it isn't who you are, but it is a thing that you deal with, right? Like, and it's a thing you're always going to have to deal with. And sometimes they're easier than others. And I want to support you as much as I can, because I wish I had had somebody to support me. I wish I had had somebody who understood about depression and had told me about that it's just okay, that it's like, it took me a really long time to get to the point where I was okay taking my medication. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I realized that I need to talk about depression more and make it more normal. Like, I try and bring it up in everyday conversation if I can. Oh, I'm feeling depressed today. I mean, not in a flippant type of way, but in a, this is a thing that I'm dealing with, and it's okay, you know? So, you know, if I can do nothing else but to maybe make you feel like it's a little bit more okay that you are depressed and not feeling like doing something, then you know, I will be happy with that. The second thing, obviously, is make this as easy as you possibly can for yourself. I even came to the point where I was basically picking plants. I was like, you know, like my begonia breakdance, right? Like, there's certain plants where, like, I just cannot let them die. And there's others where, you know, I'm kind of taking care of them, but it's like, if it goes, it goes, you know? And like, it, you know, it's not the nicest thing, I guess, to have to say, but like, your mental health is more important than any plant. Your mental health is more important than any plant. Because no matter how rare or how long you've had it or any of that kind of stuff, like, you can technically get another one, you know, like, but you've only got the one you, and there's no point in causing yourself to suffer over a plant. You know, at the same time, like, if you've got that one or two plants, or, you know, however many plants that you really just can't live without, then just focus on those one or two plants. You know, and if you take it in by small steps like that, if you take all the pressure off of yourself, it's much easier to convince yourself to come down here. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of you, I say come down here because I'm in the basement, and all of my plants or almost all of my plants are in the basement, so I always say that. But it's kind of easier to convince yourself to go take care of your plants. Like, fill up the watering can once. Whatever your watering can is, fill it up once. Go around, give everybody a little water, or, you know, give a good drink to that one plant that looks really thirsty, and be done. Go and do something else, right? Now I feel like this whole video is just way too, like, down. But I mean, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, plants are for making us happy, right? Like, you know, I just, like I said, one of the reasons that I love this Philodendron Birkin so much is because it's just such an easy plant. Like, you know, there was a point at which I've been tempted by the really hard to take care of, expensive, hard to find plants, you know, just like everybody has. I mean, they're pretty, a lot of them, but I'm definitely getting to the point where it's like, I don't even want to try, because I don't want to put that much pressure on myself. But like, even a simple plant like this, right, can be just so beautiful and so easy to take care of, right? So for any of you who are watching this video and have been struggling with taking care of your plants, I would really like for you to just tell yourself that it's okay. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to the mirror and like look yourself in the eye and say it's okay that you're not, it's okay that you're not feeling good right now. It's okay that you can't do everything that you feel like you should. You are still a human person. You are still worthwhile, even though you are not doing all the things that you think you need to do. Right? And then tell yourself, 5 minutes. I'm going to go take care of a couple of plants. I'm going to fill up my watering can once. I'm going to drench my one plant. And then I'm going to be done, right? Like, that's as easy as it can be. And if you really can't go take care of your plants today, that's okay too. Because sometimes you just can't, right? And if you have a spouse or like kids or friends that you live with, you could also ask them if they can help you. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable too. If you could say, hey, could you go put a cup of water in that one plant? You probably can't say my begonia because they might not know what you're talking about, but whatever. And if you don't have anybody who can do that for you and you can't do it, then that's fine. And give yourself permission for that to be fine. You can do it tomorrow or the next day. But, the most important thing is that you're okay. And thankfully, at least in the northern hemisphere here, the eastern edge of the United States, spring is finally starting to kind of poke its head out. Having a couple of warm days. I'm sure that we're going to go through a lot more cold and crap, and a lot more snow and ice, and a lot more rain before we get to legit spring. But, it'll get easier as there's more sun. It'll get easier as we want to spend more time outside because it's warmer, and it'll get easier. And part of that is just being okay with it not being easy right now. So if you want to like this video, go ahead and like this video. Hopefully this helped you out some. And if it didn't, then I'm glad that you are not someone who struggles with depression. And if you'd like to see some of my plants that I am not killing, you can go ahead and subscribe. And I'll be getting into showing them off some more, hopefully before too long, but we'll see. And thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, because I know it wasn't the most upbeat thing that exists, right? But I'm just hoping that it's going to help somebody. It's even helped me a little bit just talking about it. It just, when you get in your own head and you can't get out, sometimes you even just speaking, even if you're not actually speaking to a person, because I'm speaking to a camera right now. And later on I'm going to edit it and upload it, and then people will actually be watching it. But sometimes just talking really helps. So I will see you guys in the next video. You are doing great no matter what you are doing. All right, bye-bye.